Let's start off with the approval of minutes from last meeting. Yeah, motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any changes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The just one is a resolution appointing a member to the Community Services Board. This is Diane Oldenburg. This is a term to expire on 4/30/2027. Any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. HS2 is a resolution authorizing budget modification to the Department of Social Services, accept and expend additional state aid from New York State Oasis. This is the amount of $205,000. I'll look for motion.
Also move.
Second. So, you folks want to address this?
Sure. The Oswego County Opportunities has run a New York State Oasis certified community residence in Caldwell and Hannibal for many years. It's been a deficit-funded model that has struggled for several years to not run in the red. They have been encouraged over the last few years by New York State to explore a new regulation, a new model for operating that would require them to change up their staffing pattern and some of their service delivery in order to be able to bill Medicaid for the rehabilitative and reintegrative services that they be providing to adults with substance abuse disorder. So they have been working on that for the past year, have successfully obtained that new certification under the new regulations. And this one-time allotment of funds from the state of $205,000 supports that conversion, the cost that they've incurred to address their staffing pattern, to support staff in obtaining certifications that were required for program operations, as well as some turnover transition in their occupancy of the 16 beds during this time, which has resulted in a loss of revenue for them as well. So this one-time allotment is intended to keep them whole while they move forward and begin billing Medicaid for the services that we provided.
Any questions? About how many rooms do they have? How many people can they serve at a time in this type of program?
16 adult males. And it's residential, it's not clinic location. If you're not familiar with it, it is a very large house. And so it doesn't look like a healthcare facility or anything like that.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Carries. Okay. HS3 is a resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, accept and expend additional state aid from Office of Mental Health. This is in the amount of $103,740. I look for a motion on this one.
I'll make the motion.
A second. Okay, first and second. So we did, Tim and I had some questions for Elizabeth who runs this program, and she answered all those questions. So did you, I think you were copied on the
The responses from Elizabeth? No.
No, okay. All right. It was all, pretty satisfactory. It was just we were interested in the locations of some of the buildings, whether or not the buildings, any of them were owned by OCO. Some questions that we got the answers that we were interested in hearing. Anything else that you can tell us about this particular? This is the 65 slots,
Yeah,
mental health supported housing.
There's kind of two pots of money included in this. $39,000 is a one-time funding allocation to support some of the rehabilitative services that they're entering into, which was connected to a budget mod that we did last month, I believe, which was providing them an additional $600 per slot on an ongoing basis to participate in an ONH initiative to look at, from a Medicaid perspective, social determinants of health and housing. So they'll be getting an additional $600 per person they're serving in their slots upon the delivery of those state planning services. And this is a startup one for $39,000. The other monies in here, the $13.28 per slot, is an adjustment for fair market rent. So it's a stipend increase allotment, and that's base level funding per year increase per slot, which will be ongoing funding due to the increased costs of housing to keep people housed and safe in stable environments.
Stacey, I think it was you that mentioned at our last meeting when we talked about this a little bit, that all of these slots are filled every year. So it's not like you have excess capacity.
No. That would
supported housing. Could easily double it for sure. Yeah, so I did look, Tim's not here, but he did ask for, last time a little bit about the program. At the end of 2022, so I ran some of the 2022 numbers with the program reports, and there were another 62 individuals waiting at the end of December. Easily double it.
Well, is there any chance to fund that need? How did that happen? Would that be?
It's currently, except for this new initiative for the $600 additional per slot that they can obtain from New York State with no Medicaid for those services, it's 100% funded by New York State ONH at about,
And these are basically just rental units.
yeah, it's an adult with a mental illness who has a financial need. It supports them to live in an apartment or trailer, they might rent a trailer or wherever it might be of their choosing, and it can pay up to 2/3 of the rent. And they're responsible for the other portion and any of the other ancillary costs. The program also does help with furnishings, household items, bedding, that sort of thing when people move into an apartment, and security deposits. So this year, with this revision, they're going to be at $834,000. So if we have another $834,000 in the county coffers, we could double it without any problem.
But the state's not going to give us any money.
No, they increase the amount based on the cost to run the program and the cost of housing for the individuals, but they've never increased our capacity in probably 10 years.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. HS4 is resolution authorizing budget application youth programs to transfer funds into additional hours. This is $3,015. It is coming out of the appropriated fund balance. This is due to losing a senior account clerk at the end of April due to a resignation. This is a critical time for the department as we process camp applications and get ready to open summer camps. Additionally, this position is responsible for grant applications and administration, as well as maintaining and monitoring our capital projects. So I'll look for a motion on this. All right, we have multiple firsts and seconds. And what's your name?
Tiffany Halstead.
All right, hi Tiffany.
So I'm
How
the
are you?
current senior youth services specialist that will be actually training our replacement whenever we find one, which is proving to be difficult.
So So does anybody have any questions? Thanks for coming in place of Brian today. Oh, hi, Frank.
When did we advertise it?
It went out earlier last month, but it actually got sent out again to, all county staff Thursday, I believe, Thursday or Friday afternoon, got re-sent out.
The reason not that I mind the money, because you need to train, but I was just, in the past, we've hired people, 2, 3, 6 months ahead of, such critical, positions. We've hired them almost 6 months in advance.
Yeah,
Sometimes we've hired them a year in advance. And I just don't know.
I'm not sure if Brian was
Brian
aware of that
Yeah.
option, so maybe that's why he had.
We've done it in the past, so I don't know. I'm not saying
Yeah.
he didn't do it this time, I'm just wondering why we waited,
So you may not have known of the resignation.
Huh? But we didn't know about it?
You may not have known of the resignation. This isn't a retirement, it's a resignation. So
Yeah.
there may not have been 6 months notice.
Okay, no, there's other things that, like I've said in the past, if we had a good enough description of the jobs, it's a lot easier to, even though they are critical, it's
Yeah.
a lot easier to transition if,
Oh, for sure.
everybody knows, everybody's position. But yeah, I got no problem with it.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
We're on HS4, Jim. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. HS5, resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, legal fees, it's the amount of $54,000. This is because we've been unable to track the 5th social services attorney this year. We had to use services and per diem with outside coverage. I'll look for a motion on this. First and second. Any questions for Stacy on this? All right.
What, Commissioner, what are we getting as a feedback as to why we're not able to fill the position? I mean, it's salary, I just came out of a public safety meeting where, okay, well, we need to contend with Onondaga County, so we're gonna give them X amount of money, so let's just do it, okay? So I'm just wondering, what are we running into? What are you getting back as feedback as to, right, thank you, but no thank you? If you even get that, you may not.
Get that, no. I would imagine wage has something to do with it. However, there's not enough people for the jobs available, and that's across all industries, whether we're looking at legal services, caseworkers, or airline pilots, right? It's just, in the airlines, they can just say, we're going to cancel this flight, even if we leave someone stranded someplace. DSS can't say, no, we're not going to go to court. No, we're not going to investigate this allegation. So the work keeps coming. We don't have enough people full-time. The state just went through a wave of hiring. There's no way we could have competed with those folks. It's just kind of a perfect storm right now as to recruitment angst. And that's pretty much any employer that you talk to are all feeling the same thing.
The reason it's so, and the reason why is because you can't get, somebody to represent them, and you can't get somebody to help, then everything gets backed up. And if everything gets backed up, then you run into more problems. And if it's a thing of money, you just, say what you want to pay, and as far as I'm concerned, if we argue it would be ludicrous.
But we have to be within our wage structure, our wage schedule. And I do want to say that for attorneys, family court is not always the chosen practice for someone coming out of law school.
Right.
So we have that piece as well. it has to be someone who wants to practice law in a family court setting, which is challenging.
And there's no budgetary impact because we're taking this out of salaries and wages having to do with vacancies. About how long do you think that this is going to cover us, or is this covering past?
It depends on the number of petitions that we'll be filing over the course of this year.
Projected to the
We're really hoping that we find someone. We're approaching another time of graduation, people graduating from law school, so we're hopeful. We are very aggressive in getting out there to all the law schools beyond our region even, to make sure that it's promoted. And if they could just meet our team, they'd want to come on board because they're,
Yeah, it sounds like
This is
the
a
team
great
that you have
team.
right now is pretty tight.
yeah.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Resolution carries. HS6 is a resolution authorizing reclassification of one position in the Department of Social Services. I'll look for a motion on this.
Make a motion.
I'll second it. First and second. So this is to reclassify outdated title of resource coordinator to principal social welfare examiner.
Marty is going to speak.
Yes, our resource coordinator is essentially no longer an effective title for the duties of this position. Years ago, we shifted a lot of our resource recovery work to our accounting unit because it streamlined everything for us to be able to collect the money and be able to get it to the right place within accounting rather than having other parties in the middle of it. The position that was just recently vacated was a resource coordinator because that's the title the person had that was in it. Now they can be classified to a principal social welfare examiner, so they're the same as the other three within assistance programs, and they'll be able to reassign teams and delegate things accordingly, and the title will fit the duties of the position. And it's the same grade level, so there's no change in the dollar figure.
Right. Any questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. HS7 is a resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, additional hours and overtime. This is in the amount of $110,792. Of promotion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a first and second. This has to do with the accounting unit and child support. Any questions for Stacy on this?
Stacy, have we filled the positions for those out there?
We have been able to hire a few people in accounting. We still have 4 vacant positions. And of course, the resource coordinator in fraud investigations, her promotion is into one of the accounting positions. So we didn't really attract new talent from outside, but she's a great fit for that position. So
And they all work out to the DSS.
Max Health Office, yeah.
Now, everyone is back from COVID, aren't they? Aren't they all back and working there, no working from home type thing?
I mean, there's some, as I've explained before, every once in a while there's an issue where they can still work from home, but are restricted in some way, so they can just be off, and they have plenty of time. But I have long tenured people who have great output. They feel bad about not being able, one gal's got vertigo right now, so being able to drive back and forth, but she's moving right along on all her work. So, we pick and choose if we can keep somebody moving along the workflow. But it's pretty rare.
Do their titles require them to meet with other folks at DSS?
Not the ones that we allow that now. They have to be present in the office for their duties. That's not an option.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Page 7 is, am I, yeah, check that off. All right, I'm ahead. Resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services reproduction expenses. This is in the total of $5,700. Look for a motion.
Good.
So just increased costs, and partially, what happened that's different? That's just,
Material.
Checks, envelopes, the staff
Everything
checks,
is cost more.
everything is more expensive, yeah. Note on all those like checks, we get 75% reimbursement. The services, those are envelopes specific to services, those are 62% reimbursed.
all right, any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, resolution HS8 carries. Back on track. HS9, resolution authorizing budget modification, Department of Social Services, furniture and furnishings. What's the total here? $19,750. I'll look for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Replace damaged, broken, and vacant desk chairs. What's a vacant desk chair?
There's so many vacancies that somebody had a good chair in that vacant. And so the person who had a broken chair just took the chair, and the broken chair went out, and now we're without some. Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is all workplace, this is not the lobby?
No.
Okay.
It's all workplace, it's all desk chairs. Actually, there's some conference chairs in there too. Conference room chairs,
Yeah.
where plastic's gotten fragile.
Yeah, I just remember a bit back, the lobby is almost all replaced due to damage down there, which is fine, but
Yeah, the ones that are there now are,
They were
Pretty
brought in when we
historical.
came back from Fulton, so after the abatement, so they're good 10 years. Is that about 10 years?
how long ago was it?
Time flies.
it's before my time, so 10
It's
years.
probably
sounds-
close to 10 years.
All
right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries. All right, now moving on to our ARPA review of integrated community planning for Oswego County. Dave, I'll turn it over to you before we create a motion for this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a request to help fund a coordinator position for child care cooperative between several community partners, integrated community planning, city, the county, OCO, Shinman Foundation, and OCFS as well. This person will manage the relationships between all the various partners in this program, and also be responsible for working to secure funding for the out years, as this will only be a 2-year stipend for them to move this forward to a point where they're sustainable on their own.
Questions for Dave? Mr. Erickson?
What's sustainable on their own?
They will not require any more money from us.
Whatsoever.
Well, except for our part of the partnership in the program.
Do some of these other organizations do contribute to this as well?
Yes.
Mr.
I'm on the steering committee for this, just so everybody knows. They are already seeking out grant funding to help be sustainable. They've gotten off the ground very quickly. They're now having their second community-wide event, bringing together the agencies. What this is targeting is there's service integration for youth from kindergarten on up. But one of the things identified is that there's not service integration, coordination for children birth to 5. And this is going to fill that gap and provide those services early on. And hopefully that has an impact downstream throughout the rest of their lives.
So who's the, is the Early Childhood Alliance now becoming its own 501c3, or where does the money?
It may eventually. Right now it is sitting in integrated community planning, which is the lead on the steering committee. But there are it's based on models that exist around the country. There are other early childhood alliances on Onondaga County as well. It's been very successful. It's based on their model.
So if granted, the money is going to go to this integrated community planning.
Right, for this first 2 years. And they're an organization that kind of does, they do our traffic safety council and other things, so they're an organization that's accountable and reliable. They have a decent organization.
Okay, because they're going to do the administration of this.
And they'll be fully accountable for the fees.
They're also involved in a lot of the other child care training programs and provision programs with the other respective partners who are engaged in that area.
Any other questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve the funding for this program at the $121,290. I'll second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, updates. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Starting with DSS this month. Social Services Department update.
So I sent you a written report. You'll note that we are still having issues in our financial assistance vacancies with social welfare examiners. And at the time I wrote this report, it was 9 vacancies, and then our Deputy Commissioner Babcock sent me this, that we are in the process of hiring 4, so we'll be down to 5 vacancies.
Wow.
And I also, during the writing of this report, there were 30 caseworker vacancies, and today we welcomed in 4 new caseworkers, and on the 17th of April we'll be welcoming in 3 more.
That's good.
So really good news. Yes.
So how many of
We are
those?
going in the right
I was
direction.
going to say, that sounds pretty.
How many of those were from your the open house?
I don't think we've welcomed any of them
I don't
yet.
think any of
Oh,
them yet.
wow.
Well, there's a lot to that. Once they turn in their application to HR, they have to make sure and verify everything, including that there's actually a degree, that they have a college degree. They do that by getting copies of transcripts. And before we onboard them, they have to have all the clearances, which can take up to 3 weeks with the state of New York on child abuse, criminal background checks, all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's good news because we
Yeah.
might have more coming down the pike.
That's exactly right. Yep. I'm very optimistic. and will remain so.
The most retired in a long time, That's all.
So has the Health Act affected some of those?
You know, because the Health Act is just starting to get play in the media and on social networks, I'm not sure if we've seen the full impact of that yet, but we had just learned just before the job fair of that, and people were pretty excited by it.
However, with the Health Act being passed, we had 25 staff that could automatically be put into permanent placement. And since then, we've hired 10 more in those positions, so.
And those provisional staff that we had in there, those 25, if they hadn't passed the test,
Yeah.
we would have been out of luck. So they're all automatically, most of them were community services workers, some caseworkers, some community, or caseworker aides.
Good.
And this is not
Good
gonna,
news for a change.
Yes,
this isn't gonna recur at some point, they're gonna end the act and they have to then take the test or something?
Not those people.
Not
Nobody hired within the next year will have to do that.
Okay.
But once it ends, then everybody's got to do it again.
then we'll go back to the testing.
And is that, you might not have voted on the first couple of those, Jim. And, easy there. Welcome. Okay. No, I lost my train of thought on my questions. Okay, go ahead. You can continue. That's really all great news.
Yes, it really is. You know, I just did a little blurb there that we did have our DSS recruitment fair. If you saw the article in the paper, it was, we feel, very well attended. You know, our employment and training folks have done some pretty big job fairs, like a Moore Memorial, where there were a dozen or more representatives from different industries trying to hire, and they might get 12. And so for DSS on a Saturday morning in 3 hours to have 25 prospective people come, they were able to speak directly to people who either supervised or were in the jobs they were interested in. It was great. And along with DSS personnel who came to staff this job fair, why there were another 20, 25 between the first and second floor in for a Saturday shift working because we don't have enough workers right now. So it was actually a very inspiring day for me, you know, to see just how hard people are working and just how committed to mission. I also put a little piece in my report on the New York State budget, Medicaid, and the EF map, and then you're all aware of this. And I think we all suspected that the state budget would not pass timely. And so here we are waiting to see the impact of the executive budget proposals. So stay tuned.
It's going to be a while before that's passed. Saying that it's going to be at least.
Well, we'll say our prayers. I also put for you, you know, there was some discussion about financial assistance and the fact that, you know, I've said before in talking with all of you about the trends at social services that we've had historic numbers of applications. And the story there is applications. So we have to process all of them, interview all of them. But that doesn't mean they all open up. Many of them we can refer to our employment and training, they can get a job. And so I gave you some 5-year application and caseload trends. And for that, there's, you can see, for instance, family assistance, that's our TANF. Applications in 2022 was 1,751. But if we look at family assistance that are active open cases in 2022, it averaged 489 a month. We've also seen safety net, which is childless couples, single adults, and families who have been on TANF over 60 months and are no longer eligible under federal law. We've seen that stabilize and continue to decrease. And with SNAP, that's the one where we actually have seen over 5 years a slight increase this past year. Many of those folks, though, are working. You can be working to get SNAP. I understood interest by legislators on our contracted services. So over the course of this year, I'll try to give some updates on contracts, where we're at, what kind of outcomes we see. So this month, I provided you a little overview. I want to assure you that our contracted services with private nonprofit agencies, they indeed have had some vacancies because of recruitment issues. We don't pay for those vacant positions, though. We reimburse them month to month of actual costs. So if that position that we want to fund for them to supervise visitation is left vacant for the month, we don't pay for it. Of course, we also can't refer families. We have to supervise those visits ourselves. And I mentioned supervised visits because that's a good example of the impact when our contracted services aren't strong that it has on our own casework staff. It just creates even more responsibilities and burdens. You may recall 2 years ago when we worked with family court judges based on the Office of Court Administration's push to have better for families throughout the state, while we worked with the judges in the Child Welfare Initiative and stood up Better for Families. And so I also sent you Farnham's Better for Families report. My understanding that judges have reported that they are pleased with how that initiative has rolled out and how it's going along. Any questions?
I would like, at some point, and I kind of think this is something that we should do across all of our committees, and I'm not asking for this to happen in a rush, but I'd like to have a table created from each department or even division within the department that lists the contract title, the description of the contract, the contractor, the cost, the length, if there is a link to the contract that we can place someplace so we can actually visit the contract if we want to, so that any of us at any time can reference, so I mean, as a chairman, I think it's important to have a handle on the number of contracts and what they're for, and then if there can be an item in that table that was something to do with metrics for success, what are we measuring, what are we trying to get done from those? I know that's kind of seemed maybe like a lot of work, but you already might have something like that available, right?
Yeah.
I see some of these come up and the money comes in and the money goes out, and we don't really have a good handle on what it is, and I just think that that's really something that we could have a better handle on and be able to ask more questions and feel informed about what we're doing and what we're accomplishing.
Yeah, we have volumes and volumes of information. We do have one Excel spreadsheet, the tabs along the bottom, whether it's fee for service, whether it's our services, contracts. I don't know, there's 4 or 5 tabs, I think. Pop quiz, do you know how many contracts we actually do have?
Oh, God.
I mean, there's
I don't.
literally dozens.
Yeah,
Dozens.
there's a lot.
There's a lot.
All right, Vice
Foster
Chairman
care.
Greco has a question.
Yeah, I would just like to second what your suggestion, because I've brought this up many times. We have all these different contracts, not just in services, but in health and other areas of our citizen area. I'd like to see. And some of those look like they're providing, if not the same, but similar service. And I talked to Marty about it once, and she said sometimes they fall through one crack where they can't help them, but maybe another program could.
Right.
And I'd certainly like to see a comparison done on that. What you're really saying, so can we get a bird's eye view of that, snapshots, so we can compare them?
Yeah, absolutely. We can, I can give you the Excel spreadsheets right away, so you can see just how many contracts we have,
All right, so how,
amounts.
so basically the same way you track them, if we can have a look at that as well, and we could share it within the committee.
Now, I gotta say, what we are anticipating with purchasing new software, Phil, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Well, first of all, right now, I believe the Legislative Clerk's Office maintains a database of all the contracts that the chairman signs. And that includes some, but not all, of the information you're looking for. So in the meantime, while this is being, these tables are being generated, that would be a source to take a look at. But also purchasing it has implemented a new contract management system that is being rolled out to the departments. It's brand new, so it doesn't have a lot of the contracts in it yet. But once we go through a couple of cycles, all the county's contracts should be in that and should be able to produce the type of report you're looking for. And if it doesn't, since it is customizable, we can work with the vendor to try to get a report out of that system that includes all that information.
Great.
But since that's new and it takes time to input, we're only inputting the new contracts, that's gonna, it'll take a while before it can generate a report like that. Thanks.
It's a heavy lift with contracts
Yeah.
at ESS. We have a lot of work that's put into those contracts. And recently, because of the Child Victims Act with lawsuits that go back to the 70s with sexual abuse, we are shifting our requirements for all of our foster care and voluntary agency placements, which is dozens, to be specific to having sexual molestation and abuse insurance, liability insurance. So they send us all of that, and we track all of that we've gotten it. We make sure all the limits are there. We're added where we should be as an additional insured. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to contract management, and we're thrilled to have software that's going to help us manage all of that. So.
Okay. Did you want to talk about the Better for Families report that's here, or is that?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions with Better for Families, so this is parents who have SUD, substance use disorder, and they've come to our attention through a state central registry report of child maltreatment. We've gone in and investigated, taken them to family court, and in family court, the judge will ask them to come back every week until they are been seen by a SUD assessment. one of our providers. And they are provided at that point a peer counselor from Farnham, who also reports along with the client to those court appearances. If you are familiar with drug court and the criminal court system, this is kind of a family court, drug court, if you think of it that way. Once they've got an assessment and they're engaged in treatment, the appearances in court go to every other week and then monthly, and hopefully at some point of graduation, kids are returned or parents have completed successfully all of their treatment and other services. So again, this was a push out from State Office of Court Administration with no funding for us. Here, do it, but I'm not going to give you any funding.
Go ahead.
How long has this been enacted?
2 years.
Have we had any success? Have we made?
Yes.
We have. Okay,
Yes.
so it's working.
Yes. I can get you more.
Oh, the fact that you say it's fine, I don't get pictures. As long
Yeah.
as somebody's monitoring and saying, hey, this is actually working.
And of course, success is relative. We want it to work in favor of parents and children being able to remain together or get back together. Sadly, it is not always that, but it shows that we've been diligent and provided every opportunity for a parent so that when we have to achieve permanency in 18 months, sometimes that results in the children never going back home to parents. But we have to be assured that they've been given every opportunity. That's right. Diligence of effort under legal standards.
Any other questions for Stacy? Okay. Office of the Aging. Sarah.
Well, I don't have a lot on my agenda to update, but I just wanted to mention a few things. Our 2 more congregate dining sites are now sit-down, providing sit-down meals. The Phoenix site opened March 1st. The Fulton site opened March 17th. Mexico will be opening on April 12th, and Parrish will be opening on April 17th. So that only leaves Hannibal not providing sit-down meal as of later on this month. So we're happy about that. And we just ended March as National Nutrition Month. We had our March for Meals celebration in Fulton on Friday. And I'm sorry for the short notice to send out an email asking if you'd like to participate. I received notice late from OCO, so I didn't have that to share with you until last minute. So next year, hopefully, we'll have a little more activities going on, have a little more notice in case anyone wants to participate in March for Meals. We continue to accept nominations for Senior of the Year, so if you know anyone in the community that you'd like to be recognized, we do have the applications in our office, also on the website. If you go to forms under an OFA, we can get them recognized. We can send 2 names on to the State Office for the Aging, but anyone who is nominated, we will have some sort of recognition from them, because even though they don't get promoted to the state, it does not mean they don't do a great job volunteering in our community, so we want them recognized as well. As I previously reported, all of our aid agencies, including the consumer-directed, increased their hourly contracted rates. I looked at the usage, and with our grant funding that we have currently right now, if we continue on this path, our budgeted amount would be expended in September. With the delay in the state budget, we know that they're building in some additional funds there because our increase is due to the mandated hourly wage increase for personal assistance on the Medicaid side. Since they're getting paid more, if we want aids on the OFA side, we have to also pay more for our services, even though they're not Medicaid aids. So we're anticipating additional funding there after the budget, the state budget is passed. If we don't have that, and it's not in there, then we will have to look at cutting back hours of aid services to our elderly in the community. I don't see that being an issue right now. Again, like I said, they have advised me that money is being built into the budget to help cover that. For some reason, we were in oversight on the age side as opposed to the Medicaid side, so hopefully that will be addressed. But again, if not, we will have to cut 8 hours for the in-home aides for our elderly. We just closed our wait list for when somebody calls and they're looking for an aide to be in the home. Right now, because there's a lack of aides, we put them on a wait list. We just closed that because we have 60 names on the list right now, and there's no way we would be able to get to all those names in a reasonable amount of time, especially when we're looking to reduce the number of hours. So we do talk to people, we do offer them alternative methods to get service in the home, but it's just, we are not adding them to our wait list. Any questions on any of that so far?
Go ahead, Frank.
Bolton, the community center. Right? Did you guys, do we pay a rate there or anything, or?
For the municipal building?
Yes.
We don't, but OCO does, because we contract with OCO for the nutrition program, and they contract with the municipal building for, and I'm not sure what the fee is there, it's just blended right into our rate for the congregate site meals.
So OCO has to pay a rate.
Correct.
You don't know what that rate is.
They do, I'm not sure what OCO pays. I can get that information for you, but because we don't pay individual itemized lines like that, we pay for both congregate and home delivered meal service, we just pay a per meal service. So each meal that is provided, we pay, right now our contracted rate is $6.47 per meal. So each meal is what we pay. So we get an itemized bill each month telling us where that money goes, but that's how, it's a blended rate we pay them for meal service, whether it's congregate or home delivered.
The reason I'm asking is because I heard that it's $35 an hour now. Do we go in, we use our own people when they're there, right? We clean up and everything, right?
Correct. I'm not sure. I'm 100%
When you get a
sure that
chance to-
OCO does not pay the city of Fulton $35 an hour. Maybe $100 a month. That site is open 5 days a week from 10 to 1. So I know they're not paying $35 an hour for that.
If you get a chance to text me. I don't think it's right, that's why I'm asking. It's a community center, and we're supplying things for the community.
Right, maybe if somebody,
Taxpayers pay for that.
maybe if somebody other than the meal program wants to have an event there, maybe they're charged $35 an hour, I'm not sure, but I know, I'm pretty sure that OCO would not, that would not be the cost that they would charge.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Sarah?
A couple other items, it's okay?
Oh, yeah. Just go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that we continue to go out in the community, so if you do have community members that can't get to the office for the aging and have questions, one day a month, we're in Central Square, Fulton, Hannibal Parish, Phoenix, Mexico, Sandy Creek, and now we're in Amboy as well. So refer them to our office, we can let them know what days we're at those locations, what times, and we can give them information on our programs in the community, as well as offer application assistance. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is June 15th. We will be having a display and doing some promotion on that. Not promotion, but notification awareness of World Elder Abuse Awareness. To keep in mind, Longest Day event, we'll be celebrating that on June 15th as well. That's a Thursday. We always do it at the Oswego Farmers Market. And for future, because we're planning it now, our senior picnic will be, again, it will be at the Mexico VFW. It'll be Wednesday, August 16th. I just got the date confirmed while we're meeting. And that's what I have right now. Sorry, I don't have a paper to share.
Senior transportation. No, if you got,
Mike, did you have something?
No, I just said, thank you for the presentation.
but senior transportation, how is that done now? I mean, I know we had some changes, or didn't anything change for us, senior?
We have 3 different contracts for transportation. I'm assuming you're probably referencing our curb-to-curb transportation. We still have the same contract that we had July of 2022 moving forward. So we're still, depending on what school district you're in, it's either 2 or 3 days a week that transportation is available. That's still ongoing. It originally was advertised that it was for doctor's appointments, grocery shopping, social engagements. Because of the high demand for the service, it's now priority service. So if somebody calls, they might not get a trip to their social engagement because there's such a high demand. But if they're going to the doctors or they need groceries, they need to go to the pharmacy, those are priority services and those are being completed.
What do we need to do to make more service available?
Well, OCO would need more buses and more drivers. That's really, it's a lack of drivers, a lack of buses, and financially. I mean, we're charged $17.30 per one-way trip, so a round trip is almost $35 if they have a second stop there. So if they go to Price Chopper, and then they want to go to Kidney Drugs, and then they go home, that's 3 trips. So it's financial as well.
Well, I'm just looking to see if there's something that, the county can do to increase that, or if it's just,
I think with the new Access Oswego, that's going to help, because that's offering some additional transportation on other days, which will help for our seniors as well. With that program, though, they will be charged a fare, where our program is contribution only. So,
thank you.
but it does increase their ability to go on trips.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank you for getting with the town supervisor up at Albion. Sarah's going to come out there on a meeting on April 26th at 5 p.m. She's going to be Service Edition 2, which would be Orwell, Williamstown, Albion, and Richland, and she's going to come out and give out brochures, talk to anybody who wants to come. So,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
glad
welcome. And thank you. I'm happy to go out. Sorry I didn't mention it. Any of you want me to come and speak to any of your groups, I'd be more than happy. What we find many times is that people don't know about the services that OFA provides until they're in crisis mode. We want to let them know about the services prior to crisis mode so that they are not at that stage, so that we can get those services in the home sooner so that they don't have to be in crisis. So,
Thanks.
everybody says, I'm just good at aging. I'm not old. I don't need them. We all need us.
Okay, anyone else? All right, good. Thank you. All right, we are to Tiffany and the Youth Bureau.
Okay, so I can't keep everything on here because I don't do all of this, but I can go over what I do know. So Brian and I are the representatives for the New York State Governor's Youth Council for Region 3. So we work with youth from 18 counties in New York State. These youth get to propose policy changes to the governor's office and other state offices. In the past, some of our proposals have moved on to another step, but we haven't seen any movement past that yet. We're in our 3rd year. We are recruiting for an Oswego representative. The portal hasn't opened yet for applications, but if you have a youth between the ages of 13 and 21 that's interested in being a voice for their county, you can have them email me, and whenever the portal opens, I will give them the information that is required for applying. Camp Hollis enrollment has started. You can see everyone received a director's report, correct? You can see the number of registered youth, which has increased, but I don't have the actual numbers. This was as of March 13th. Zach is still recruiting for staff out there. That proves to be a challenge across all departments. They also were awarded a new grant that they're working on insulating Camp Hollis for all year round use. B&G has to wait for weather to improve so they can install the new door that's leading to the beautiful deck that was built last fall. Friends of Camp Hollis is hosting their second annual 5K walker run. That's on June 3rd. If anyone's interested in registering, you can find information on their website. There will be a cleanup day also at Camp Hollis coming up at the end of April if anyone wants to help beautify Camp Hollis. Camp Zerby will be hosting a 6-week summer camp this year. We've been doing that for the past few years as well. A little change this year is that it will now cost $25 per camper. We had a lot of no-shows over the past few years. The cost is low for families, just to cover cost of supplies. Meals are provided out there. It will run 2 additional weeks this year versus last year for the 4 weeks. There is a new grant in the process out there for $350,000, proposing a new bathhouse to be located right next to the lodge versus the walk that you have to do through the grass to get out there. Independence Trail, I can't speak much to this right now because I've not been informed. The Youth Advisory Council, which I am a part of, is going to be organizing a camping drive for counties families in Oswego County. If anyone's interested in donating to that, you can reach out to me. Mini grants, our applications are due by May 1st. Those are for either pop-up events or programs that will be happening in July, August, and September of this year. This is funded by, if the budget passes and we get the add-on that we're hoping for, we have around $13,000 to support these additional programs, which sometimes we serve up to a few thousand youth in the county. Our annual reports have been submitted to the New York State Office of Children and Family Services, and our 2023 contracts have been mailed out. We will be switching to the October 1st through September 30th calendar year going forward. So our contracts are 9-month contracts for this program year, and then we'll switch to that. Our agencies have been pretty good about staying on top of getting our contracts out, thankfully. AmeriCorps is recruiting for summer members, so if you know anyone interested in AmeriCorps, I have some flyers here that I'm not sure if you received for hiring for that. We are hosting our Oswego County Youth Leadership Summit on May 17th at the Oswego County Fairgrounds. That's an event where we have 700 to 800 8th graders from across the county. They'll come out to the fairgrounds and we have a rotation of presenters. It's not only teaching leadership skills, but they have access to different agencies and for job opportunities and looking at what it takes to become a lawyer or become a vet tech. So we have a lot of agencies that will be present that day, and it's a great event. We had beautiful weather last year, so we're hoping for the same. There's a blurb in there about LOC students. I don't on that program. A co-worker and I run a program in the Oswego Middle School called PROS. It's Proactive and Restorative Options for Students. The school identifies youth who could use additional mentorship, learning about community resources and how they can become actively involved in their communities. This is our second school year. We've been working with students, and it's been interesting being in a middle school setting and seeing the tough lives these kids have led already at 7th and 8th grade age. It's sad. But the only thing we can hope for is just to be a guiding light and positive person that they can come to. And we've had great students. We love them. I'm not sure many of you saw, we had a Valentine's Day dance in February. It booked up really quickly, and there were 250 youth that attended. There have also been some pop-up bowling events and skating, free skating for families on Sundays in Oswego. And then the budget pieces in here, we're waiting on the budget pass, like Stacey had mentioned, and just hoping for level funding this year. We've also received youth sports funding, which they are proposing additional funding this year. Last year it was $2 million, and they're talking about upping that to $5 million. So we'll see what new programs we can fund when we find out our final number.
Okay, great, thank you. Eric?
Okay, so, yeah, I'm sorry, I just had a quick question about that 25 hours a week. Do they have to pay for the whole 6 weeks, or does it go by each week?
By each week, yep.
Okay, and is there any scholarships or, just for?
I can't speak to that, I don't know personally, but our office doesn't turn people away, so I would assume that if somebody was having trouble financially, they would reach out to Zach and he would get them in.
I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot of money, but,
Oh, I
some
understand
people,
that.
$1 is too much for some people. They'd rather feed them. But I think that's great. I think it's a great program. I think it's something great up there. But, and they get fed. And what are the hours of the day?
I'm not sure.
From what to what?
Here.
You guys know what time they?
One thing, 9.
When it starts at 8, I think they have to serve the kids breakfast, lunch, and it's
Snack before they go home?
It's all day long.
Yeah, 8 plus hours.
8 to what, 4, 3?
Probably 8 to 4.
Yeah, 4 years ago, 4 years ago, it started, it was 2 weeks, and now it's 6 weeks. So it's been a very successful program. It's expanded, and we're pretty excited about it.
No, I think it's a great idea. I mean, what age level are we looking at?
So I know that the youth that they typically get are between 6 and 12.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's just a
That's good. That's just like house.
The teachers that volunteer their time to do it. It's a good program.
Okay, good enough. That's all I know. I think it's great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so in our office, Horton is almost there for the accreditation. His has done way better than mine did. I am finally 100% and I have access to everything. We're hoping that he should be done by the end of May. And that's going to give us all 3 DSOs that we've been wanting, which is nice because we've got a lot of people coming in that they haven't been here since Donna, or they came in with Jamie, so we don't have current 2122s, which is basically it's the document that allows us to submit for them to the VA. So we can start updating those and it's not all just one person doing it. The office supplies guy is really getting full. I mean, every day from 8 to 4, I have somebody in there. Most days I'm not even taking lunch. So that is going awesome. The Oswego office has started to pick up. One of the things that Bernadette is the administrator out there for the Oswego VA clinic, and she has asked me to be part of their Veterans Advisory Council. So I agreed. I told her that I would do that. It's all made up of all veterans, just like our committee would be. But they're also patients of the VA. So it's just for the patients and stuff. I did talk to her about Clear Path for Veterans because with Kathy and I, we've been working a lot with Lance. Lance is the regional guy. He's over several different counties. And through the Dwyer program, what we're trying to do is Clear Path would like to have a representative in every county. So we've got it now to where we can have that representative here in Oswego County. They're just trying to hire that individual. Right now they're looking at a prior Marine. Said that she's awesome. She's got to come in from out of state though, so we're hoping that that goes through. Once that happens, one of the things we're working on too is trying to get them a spot in our building. I would like to be in our office, but because of the individuals that they deal with and the outreach that they do, some of these veterans aren't keen on talking to them with other people in the room. We have people with PTSD that would do the same thing. I got one guy that will only see me in the Oswego clinic because I have a door I can shut there. Even though I have one here, he will not go to Fulton because of his PTSD. So it would be nice to have them as close to us as possible so that we can work together for these veterans. So while they're providing the outreach, we can provide the benefits. So that's in work. I was contacted by Josh Lugan. He works for Senator John Mannion. So they are having a Veterans Fair in the Oswego American Legion Post in June. He asked if I would like to table that, or at least have a spot at the table there, and I told him yes. So in June, we will be at that location. I think that the biggest thing is just the clear path, trying to get them into the building. I talked with IT. IT's already, we got that part worked out. They're going to bring their own equipment and everything. We just got to provide one place to sit. So we're working on that, and then we have the meeting for the Staff Sergeant Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Grant Program. And that meeting went very well, I think. We had all different kind of agencies come around, and everybody's willing to participate and fill in their part. So I think we're supposed to have another meeting here before too long to see how far we can do that. Other than that, that's really all I have. Things are going really good, so we're really getting busy.
How are you doing keeping up with cases? You feel like you got a backlog right now, or are you pretty much right on top of things? Or?
Yeah, it's not to the point where we're having that issue. There's with the three of us being VSOs, we're able to really keep a handle on it. Because before, with the one VSO, every case had to go through that office, that individual. So no, we're not so busy to the point that we're having to turn people away or schedule 2 weeks out. We're still able to take walk-ins. I had a lady just came in today. VA says she owes him $40,000. Not a good situation, but luckily I was able to sit down with her and we went over some stuff, and so we're putting a plan together. But no, even the class guy office, part of why that's so busy is the walk-ins. At some point, if that continues to get bigger and bigger, I would like to take that to a 2-day a week instead of 1 day a week. So try to be there 4 times a month instead of just twice, or even flip-flop it to where first and second week I'm there on Thursday, third and fourth week I'm there on Tuesday, and then Oswego I can do Tuesday the first, second week, and then Thursday the third and fourth week. That way I'm at each location, because what's happening is people, especially like Sandy Creek, they come in the last Thursday that I'm there and they want to make another appointment. Well, I'm not back there for another 2 weeks. So they have to schedule it out that far. So to be able to be there every week would be nice. I haven't really looked into it a lot yet because the Oswego office it's picking up, but it's very slow, which doesn't make sense to me because the veterans are right there in the waiting room. Sometimes I gotta fly them down. The good thing is the counselor and the people that work there are very quick to bring them to. So if they're in there for an appointment or if they're in there for counseling and they need to file for benefit or something's gotten to the point where they need to file for an increase, they'll actually bring them to my office. So I'm able to sit down with them and take care of that stuff. So.
Any questions? Mike, you have comments? Go ahead.
If someone comes into the VA office, like a class guy, and want to sign up for the VA benefits, do you direct him to go to Syracuse?
I do not.
I know one veteran went up there, and they told her she had to go to Syracuse to do the paperwork.
I don't know the situation. It would depend. If they're just simply applying for medical benefits, then we do a 1010EZ. It takes about half an hour and we can get it done. If there's anything outside of the benefits that we file for, then they do have to go to the VA clinic in Syracuse because they have the compensation offices right there. Generally, if I send anybody there, it's because of a pay thing, because we don't handle the money. We don't do nothing to do with the pay. I can give them advice. The lady that came in today, I can work with her. I actually put this whole little list together of what she needs to get done, but I have nothing to do with that because it's the pay thing. So I'm not saying I've never sent anybody there. I have, but if it did that, it's because it's something that we don't take care of. We don't do ID cards. We don't do, so we have to send them to that.
I think this person was the initial signing up for the VA. just to get her ID and all that.
Yeah, I'd have to know who it is, because there's no way I would
How long
have turned
ago
anybody
was that?
away.
About a month ago.
Yeah, there's no way I would have told him. If I know who you're talking about, I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but the application was already in. It was to a point where there was nothing I could do. So the answers that she needed, I can't provide those. They have to be provided by the VA. I mean, they're the main, when we do the 1010s, that's where it goes. It goes to the VA in Syracuse. Anything else will go to Buffalo or it goes to Illinois, but when you're signing up for benefits, that goes strictly to the Syracuse office. So, tell her to come see me, and maybe she can explain it, and I can figure out what she's talking about.
Mike, has Veterans, has your Services Advisory Committee met yet?
And I was gonna do with him after the meeting today, see if we can set something up.
We did, Jay and I sat in a Transportation Advisory Committee meeting last week. Outstanding meeting. There's a lot to get our heads around. As but the pieces that have to do with DSS and Office of the Aging, we're just trying to, like I said, get a handle on each of the different contract pieces, and try to move forward with making that whole system, the public transportation piece, as efficient as possible going forward. So we got a really good start at that. And you'll hear more about that coming up in the future. So any other questions for anybody here? I'll look for the appropriate motion. Motion to adjourn. We got first, second, all those in favor? Aye. All right, thanks everybody.